Next we have, I believe, Arjuna. Is he there? Hey!
How you all doing?
Hello, Arjuna.
Hey,
how are
Rajni.
you?
I'm super, thanks. Yeah, I'm really good. Good to
Cool.
see you guys.
So this is the first time we've connected. Yeah. I know so much about you on Instagram and your book. So it's working. Instagram works. But you'll be offering a workshop. Tell me if I'm wrong, but living 200% of life.
Living
correct?
the 200% life.
The 200% of life. Okay. So it's how to get the solid inner foundation. I'm just reading my notes. Inner foundation for a fun, vibrant, effective, and exciting outer life.
Yeah.
That's a big, bold statement, that one.
I know. I know. I've made some bold statements, so we'll see how it goes.
So I would love to have you kind of formally introduce yourself. Who are you? And, who is Arjuna? And where do you live? Where are you from? And yeah, tell us.
Well, I'm Arjuna. I live in North Yorkshire in the United Kingdom. I'm from New Zealand and I have a wife and 2 kids. And yeah, that's me. What else?
What does Arjuna mean? Does it have a meaning, your name?
It means purity, clarity, and light.
Nice.
And in the Bhagavad Gita, he gets Krishna to drive his chariot.
Strong. So your book, 200%,
yeah.
or your course, I should say, your course, what you'll be speaking about. Why 200%? Because I think that's going to kind of throw a few of us back. We're like, what about 100%?
Yeah, I pinched it off the I pinched it off the Ishayas. It really is 100% enjoyment, adventures, excitement in terms of the external world, and 100% fulfillment, contentment, peace in an inner sense.
Honestly, is that possible? Can you have all of that? Can you really have all of that?
I certainly hope so. Yeah. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
I assume that you're living the 200%.
Well, I'm giving it a good shot. Yeah. But I think, like you say, many people think you have to choose one or the other. Do I want ambition, responsibility, take care of things, or do I want to hide away from all of that and stare at my navel and kind of get to know peace? But yeah, it's not the case. I think you got to have both. Just like the yin yang symbol, there's 2 halves make a whole. Both are necessary. Yeah.
Which one comes first, the inner or the outer?
The inner. Always.
The inner. And how does that show up for most people?
Well, I mean, the inner world is expressed in the outer world. I mean, the great sages of our day, our time, have always said that our thoughts create our reality. We're always defining what we see through our thoughts and our emotions. And so you change your mind, you change your reality. And it's you become present, you step beyond the mind, you see very clearly. So it's a simple thing, but we're so addicted to certain, like Mira is saying, certain stories, certain thoughts, certain concepts that we don't see so clearly. It's not that easy just to choose a different attitude, choose a different mindset. So.
And how do you live? What do you do yourself to help with your inner world? How do you get that all sorted out and clear and shining light?
Shining bright. Well, I think I ascend. I practice ascension, which is a kind of meditation or prayer, and really it's a way that allows me to be super present, and it shows me my stories. It becomes pretty obvious when I'm resisting or in a story that just isn't true. It really is a big fat spotlight that makes limitation and negativity just so obvious. And so for me, and ascensions, as a lot of you know, is based around praise and gratitude and love, and it's this sort of positive positive, upward spiraling movement to life. And so when you get involved in something that's counter that, negativity and constriction and resistance, and it becomes pretty obvious pretty quick. So it becomes easier to choose to do different, right? So,
but for someone that's never meditated before, that doesn't have a practice, how do they first recognize that they have resistance, that they have thoughts, that they, how, because for a lot of people that's normal. That's always been the way they think, the way they live their lives, the way they express themselves from. So how would any advice on that?
Well, it comes back to, I think, self-awareness and self-reflection of what are the thoughts, what are the stories that I'm telling myself, becoming more aware of what the software that's running in our heads, whether it's actually useful or not. So part of the book and part of the course is really becoming on a road to becoming totally clear on what stories we're telling ourselves. So all it takes is a willingness to realize that you just look within and see what we're saying, what voices we're in particular we're listening to.
And the voices, I know I have some voices in my being that are very loud, and I love them sometimes. I love them. I get into that rut where I'm like, yeah, I like the drama. I like this dialogue. And I'm not, especially when I'm with my partner, there's just he can't get in. There's no way. So I have this dialogue, and I'm watching it, and I can see it's causing resistance, not only to myself, but everything around me as well. But sometimes I just don't want to, I don't want to change it. And why is that? Why don't I want to change it when I'm fully aware that it's not doing me any good or anyone else around me any good? What's all that about?
Well, I think often we want to be right more than we want to be happy, and yes. Scoring points, feeling like we're correct, and all of these things are just through habit. We just we give more power to that than peace. And it's difficult with our family, with our somebody else, a stranger off the street, could tell you something. You go, oh, you're absolutely right. But your family can tell you that, and you go, no way. It's a case of closeness to. Was that phrase that a prophet is never a prophet in their homeland? No one listens to you when. It's easy to hear it from somebody else, and I don't know why that is, but
it's our family members tend to be our closest reflections, and it's sometimes they catch you off guard. Yeah. But how do you live your 200%? Do you have like a system that you do, a ritual, a routine? What's your secret of 200% living fully?
Well, I think for me, it's really the Alcoholics Anonymous have a prayer called the Serenity Prayer, and I think that kind of explains it beautifully. And it's 3 lines. It goes, give me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, right? The courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And someone also once said that courage is doing something knowing that it might hurt. But the problem is stupidity is the same. That's why life is so hard. But wisdom, which we all have, and we have wisdom and clarity and intuition, we just don't listen to it. We're too busy to actually pay attention, or too full of doubt, concerned what other people think. That the source of wisdom doesn't shine through. We don't hear it. And for me, living 200% life is really seeing things so clearly. What am I in control of, and what am I not? And the things I cannot change right now, you got to be surrendered, serene, accepting of, appreciative of. And then the things that you can do, the courage, we're all sitting on things, difficult decisions, difficult conversations, kind of hoping they'll go away. but it's the courage to go, you know what, this is important to me. I got to step forward here. So how do I do it? It really is comes from a place of presence and wisdom, and then becoming really clear on how I want to live my life. What are the things that I really would like to achieve? And then seeing those two distinctions between serenity and courage. So,
going back to the wisdom, do you feel you have to attain wisdom? Is it from experience? Is it because, do you feel it just, if you're present, you're in the moment, it just naturally comes through? Because sometimes I feel like you have to kind of get the knowledge first, and then you've got to give it a little bit of an experience, and then you learn from that. Probably for me, that's wisdom. For you, is that the same, or do you believe it can just come naturally through?
I think both. Yeah, I think success is a very poor teacher, and that if you have it all your way, then you don't learn. Seems like making mistakes is a very if you have the right attitude, is a very useful way of becoming more wise. And also understanding of the human condition in general, that when you truly understand yourself, you understand humanity. But that seems to get more spotlighted when you mess up, when you make mistakes, when you fall on your face. But I think too that wisdom is inherent in the moment, and when you're really present, you can meet the need of the moment precisely. And there's a lot of science around flow and flow states at the moment, and how beautiful they are in terms of the inner experience and the outer result. Whether you're an artist or a sports person or someone in business, the creativity and the energy and the production is far more than you could have done from the level of your mind. And so I think there is something magical when you meet the need of the moment too.
Yeah, I'll be talking to Ishani about, be interesting to see what she says about her creativity and how that comes through. You're a guy that wrote a book.
One or two.
So with your book, if you had to, the chapter of your life, maybe what's going on right now, what would the title be of your chapter right now? Is it an exciting one? Is it something that, it's one of those page turners?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I have a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old, and relearning to live with my wife in that context, of having 2 kids. You can't ignore them. They're teaching me a lot about being present. I mean, I only get irritated with them when I'm not present, which is very cool. Because again, it's that kind of sense of, we began talking about how thoughts create our reality, and vice versa. When I'm irritated, it's mine. So taking cues from that, going, I'm irritated not because of the kids, but because I'm choosing not to be present right now. I've fallen asleep. That's a powerful lesson in itself. A lesson of that surrender too. Of it's an interesting balance between training little monkeys and having fun and keeping it light, and seeing when I say stuff just because, and I hear my father's words come out of my mouth, and I go, that's just conditioning and programming, and you guys forget that. So there's this really interesting balance between showing them how to live in the world and having fun and just unconditionally loving them too. So in terms of a chapter of the book, I was thinking, that Nietzsche quote, the amor fati, that not to merely accept it or to tolerate it, but to completely love what is. Something like that.
Yeah. The kids are really good to help you with that. They're so, I think we both have a 5-year-old, I believe. And, they're just so in the moment. You know, you could start ranting off and they've already moved to the next thing. You know, it's like, oh, okay, all right, let's just finish that conversation.
Yeah.
But they're like our biggest teachers. They're so in tune with source, with the infinite, with God, call it what you want, divinity, that, you know, when you have those moments of irritability, you only have to look at your child and constant reminder, there it is, right there in front of you. You know, do you want to feel crap or don't you? Or do you want to play and have fun? And, you know, that's the biggest gift I've got from having a child, you know, because suddenly it's not about you anymore. I mean, it's about them, and for them, it's the universe, you know, it's their playground, and it can be a lot of fun. And yeah, it catches you off guard now and again, you know, when you're not in the mood. But it's hard to kind of stay in that restrictive, you know, whatever it is, emotions, negative emotions. It's impossible when you're with kids. It's impossible, and you're soon released back into that playpen with them.
Especially because both of us prioritize freedom. You know, being completely peace and presence and all these ideals that we keep front and center right here. The kids are going to mirror that to us.
Yes. And it's so amazing to see how different it can be as well from moment to moment. Just when you think you've figured them out, you know, so they'll throw something at you and you're like, oh, wow, you know, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
But the wisdom coming from meeting the need of the moment, you know, there's no parenting manual and there's no living manual, right? So, but being able to be present and really listen and tune in and see what the small person's telling you, but seeing what wants to come through you too, is that dance, that balance between all of these things is, I mean, I can't think of a better example right now than that for the wisdom of the moment. Because I mean, you read stuff on the internet, right?
There's a lot.
Parenting advice is everywhere. It's all around us because it's never present. You got to chuck it out and just, hey, all right, I'm here. Let's give this a shot without the book. Yeah,
they're the greatest example. You know, no filters, no manual, no judgment. They're completely connected, and you know, what a gift! What a gift! Yeah. And you know, for those if you don't have kids, then just find some.
You take mine.
Mine. I'll rent mine out. You know, she'll teach you.
But the other thing is realizing that when they're just exhausted, they're not themselves. Do you know? And making that link between they're just firing off, being little maniacs, and you just go, oh, that's right, they haven't eaten, or oh, that's right, they're exhausted, they need to sleep. I mean, do you know, it's not you are a little toe rag. It's not. There's always a reason for it, and it's that was an interesting lesson too. Yeah. And I think it's the same with us as adults. There is a reason why we aren't that best version of ourselves, and sometimes it's simple as sleep, or not eating the right food, or not spending enough quiet time going within. You know, so just these basics give you so much.
Basic needs. We need more of that. Yeah. So your workshop that you're doing, the masterclass, do you want to talk a little bit more about what it entails, and you know, for anyone that's a little bit curious at the moment?
Yeah. I'm still writing it. So I'm really like, what it entails. Well, we're going to have 6 sessions, and I basically want to go through some of the ideas in my books. And you know, what I loved about Ascension was that it was this pure present moment, completely attentive mindfulness. It's about now, but also from now, it's defining a different attitude to what's being presented to you. Hence the appreciation, the gratitude, the love, compassion, as opposed to condemnation, negativity, limitation. And I think there's a lot of different attitudes you can choose to put in place. When presented with an event or a person, you can, or a goal or a vision that you want to see fulfilled, there's different ways of doing it. And I really want to walk people through some of the stuff that I feel like works for me. and from what I've read and from what I've talked to other people, works for them as well. So it's going to range from learning and a greater appreciation of the present moment, but from that, the power of being able to define life as you see fit. I think probably one of the crucial lines that I love most is this attitude: is life happening to you, or is life happening for you? Now that is an unconscious program that life is happening to me, and it results in a very much an attitude of why. You know, that fist at the sky, going, why is this happening? But it just as easily, it's easy to assume that life is happening for me. Now, there's a whole host of things that involved in that. First of all, taking full responsibility for your life. But when life happens for you, you're never being punished. You're being guided, supported, gifted. And so the end result of that assumption is wow, is praise, is gratitude. You know, it's like, thank you. And I think just that alone, if people could just nestle that into their heads, is to see when they're feeling like life is being done to them, versus seeing if they can change it around and go, you know what, maybe this is for me. Maybe I just can't see around the corner of the road, and I'm just going to assume it's for me. I don't know why, but let's make the most of it. You do that enough, and the end result is a life of wow. So yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so it's similar, you know, like Mira was saying, it's having that, there's a little element of trust, isn't there? Just trusting of the unknown, trusting of like the possibilities that could, you know, that may want to show, well, of course they want to show themselves, that they're already, there's just shifting our awareness and just being very open to what presents itself.
Yeah. I think trust perhaps, but also the payoff for my attitude, you know, from to me to for me, it feels better, like instantly. And as you know, appreciation feels better than judgment and condemnation. So even that small amount of trust to invest a little bit in just an assumption, just what if tonight I just chose to be more positive, that it's happening for me, to appreciate what I can appreciate. Just that payoff, that it just feels lighter and happier and more like life is more sort of, I'm in the driving seat kind of thing. So yeah, it's not even a huge amount of trust. Maybe it is in some cases where you've been doing something, fearing something so much that it just becomes so sticky, and it's almost like, well, if I keep thinking this, I'm going to go insane. And so it's an act of faith to put it down and become more, the reality has to be better than driving myself nuts. Maybe that's one of the bits of faith. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that there has to be more.
Yeah, well, and that it can be easier. And that's a nice bit of faith. But what if life was easy? What if life could be really rich? What if I could have a life of wow? What if I could change that? What if it was only this dodgy software that I'm not even aware of, that I can change, that I can bring in new assumptions, new attitudes, a new pair of glasses, a new different way of looking at myself and at the world. So yeah, let's go with faith.
More questions. We need more questions rather than statements. The what if?
Wow. Yeah, what a big one. And again, kids are great at possibility. And in Ascension, the Ishayas are great at saying be innocent. And I can't think of a better definition of innocence, of having no agenda and an open-ended possibility of, hey, well, what if? Let's see what happens. Let's see what is.
And I think this is what's great about, you know, the Ishayas, that we've created the academy, because this is open to everyone, ascenders, non-ascenders, anyone, you know, that feels very much pulled to one of these masterclasses, because you've got teachers who are coming from the stillness. You that who will be teaching from the stillness, that will just be so clear. And I mean, for me, definitely, it's just a whole new level. It's a whole new level of clarity, of support, of connection. It's just a whole new level. And I think, it will be life-changing for many people.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. Yeah, I hope so. It was, when I wrote this first book, I wrote it for myself when I was probably most confused in my late 20s. And I really wanted to kind of say, hey, it's going to be okay. You're going to figure this out, and perhaps offer a shortcut to people who might be a bit confused and a bit stressed and a bit struggling with life, will be just simply, really want to get the most out of life. So, yeah.
Wonderful. Well, what a fabulous teacher to do that with. Yeah, and thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your brilliance. It's been really lovely to chat with you and connect with you, Arjuna.
Thanks, Raj, and thanks for doing all this.
That's all right. Anytime.